Yeah. So let me just quickly take you through all the highlights of what we will be covering today. We have planned a fun interactive quiz for you all, and that will be kind of very important for deciding the winners for the goodies. And you will be learning about GitHub Basic and how you get start with it, and then the GitHub workspace. Please, everyone, mute yourself. Okay. So I hope everyone is aware about GitHub. GitHub is an open source platform where we generally host and deploy our websites. But it's more than that. GitHub is the best platform for sharing codes with colleagues, classmates, friends, and strangers. To make sure you do this without any interruption, GitHub provides dozens of features including access control, task management, feature request, bug tracking, and etc. Today, GitHub is not only allows millions of developers to share codes and build businesses, but also explore new technologies and contribute in open source. On 4th June 2018, Microsoft Microsoft announced that they will be acquiring GitHub for a $7.5 billion in stake. Some were not happy about this deal, but the Linux Foundation showed this as a win-win situation for everyone. Initially, GitHub was flat organization with no intermediate managers. Employees could choose to work on their favorite projects, but salaries were decided by the chief executives. In 2014, GitHub introduced all over the world. Interesting, right? Now the question comes, what is GitHub Codespace? So let's explore that. So, uh, do anyone know about GitHub Universe? Anyone? Okay, you can reply if you do not know as well.
No, sir, I'm just a new here. I'm a fresher, so I have no idea.
Okay, so GitHub Universe is GitHub's annual conference for the global developer community and GitHub customers, taking place both virtual and in place in San Francisco this year. And this year, the main idea was about the cloud, security, community, and AI. I hope you know about these terms.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so on behalf of that, I and Jigyasa are here to explain some of the keynotes of GitHub Universe and Codespaces. GitHub just launched a new feature that is Codespace, and we'll be talking about this thing, and which is a complete developer environment within GitHub that lets you contribute immediately. Mm, okay. Then the question arises that why would I want to use GitHub Codespace if I have other things present? So GitHub provides cloud powered development environment for any activity, whether it's a long term project or a short term task like reviewing a pull request. So do you know about pull requests? Anyone?
No, sir, I have no idea.
Yes, yes, sir. Like if we want to contribute some remote repo, so we don't have specifically rights to directly commit to the main branch or any branch which we want to commit. So we first create a pull request, which shows the owner of the branch that these are the changes we want to commit. So he can decide whether he want to pull those changes after reviewing the
Okay. Very nice answer, Mohit, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So you can work with these environments on Visual Studio Code or any browser-based editor that makes your work much easier. Okay. So the first advantage was you can start coding right away with code spaces. You need not to set up any environment. Now you can ask that there is a favorite editor, right? I code on Visual Studio Code. There might be someone who code on Dev C++ and etc etc. So like someone use Visual Studio Code, someone use Jupyter, someone use GetBrains with editors, terminal, debugger, version controls, settings, and etc. So you can work on any device in a browser or hand on in your desktop. It's as simple as that. So it is faster than your laptop. Code space contributing code to a community can be hard. Every repository has its own way of configuring a dev environment. Whenever you clone a repository, you have to set up that. That thing is known as dev environment, which often requires dozens of steps before you can write any code. An even worse situation occurs when two environment of two projects you are working on conflict with each other. GitHub Codespace gives you a fully featured cloud hosted dev environment that spins up in seconds directly within GitHub. So you can start contributing on a project right away. And some interesting fact is the GitHub's own dev image that is of 35 GB starts in just 10 seconds. Isn't it cool? So that is code space which it can do. Moving ahead. Okay. So this is one of my favorite option that I want to use tab or space. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. And some use dark, some use light backgrounds, right? Some use prettier, some use beautify. So it's up to you which you want to use. You can control every detail only you care about with your own file repository. Then comes security. Security is very necessary. So every code space environment is hardened by default and lives in its own virtual machine, which is an isolated virtual network. Your code and private networks can only be accessed by authenticated users only. Now comes, like, let's say I want to code on iPad. So you can do it with the help of code spaces. You can spin up code spaces from any device, just you need an internet access. And forget about worrying if your device is powerful enough, and code spaces live in the cloud. And if there is a poor network, then code space cannot work, but it stores the data, and whenever you retrieve the network connection, it get back from where you left it. And if you have any unstable network connection, you should commit and push your changes often. Onboarding at the speed of light. No more building your develop environment while you onboard on any open source program. Code spaces start instantly from any repository on GitHub with predefined secure environments, and it is as easy as clicking a button. Okay, so experience as a developer with Codespace. So what used to be 15 steps process is just one step. You open Codespace, you are off and running. It's much easier for a developer to use and even contribute to any repository when they just spin up a Codespace and immediately start working. Before Codespace, you have to set up every environment in your PC, and that then you have to do it. And setup can take till 2 days, but now you can do it in minutes only. So developers skip the tedious, error-prone stuff that normally stands between them and get started on real work. Now, I guess many of you want to work on Codespace, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is good news for you all that Codespace is available for free to the students as a part of GitHub Student Developer Pack. Have you heard about this pack?
No, we haven't. I didn't.
Okay, so GitHub provides a student pack for every university student. You just have to log in with your institute mail ID and you will get it. You can scroll on Google about this. And The about the code space, it provides you 90 hours per month for free for every verified student. Now
Okay.
Codespace is on. Uh, anyone any doubt?
No, no, it's okay, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So if you are working in an organization, there may be a policy that prevents from cloning. But if you can clone a repository, you can start using Codespaces. And if a organization wants to use Codespace, then they have to pay to enable and manage their Codespace instances. Okay. Now the question comes, how actually Codespaces works. So a Codespace is a development environment that is hosted on cloud. Have you heard about cloud?
Yes, we do, sir.
Yeah, I hope you all know about Google Drive. So that is an example of cloud, you can say.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can customize your project for GitHub Codespaces by configuring dev container files to your repository. GitHub Codespaces run on variety of virtual machines based on upon hosted by the GitHub, which you can configure from 2 core machine to 32 core machine, and which can run up to 34 GB RAM. And you can connect your code space from browser as well as from your local ID, that can be Virtual Studio Code. And I will be explaining more this in a GitHub Universe watch party. Yeah. So stopping a code space. Your code space will keep running while you are using it, but will time out after a period of inactivity. It's just like a website you are using. So file changes from editor and terminal output are counted as activity. So your code space will not time out if terminal output is continuing. The default in activity timeout period is of 30 minutes, but you can personally change these settings. In VS Code, you have to open VS Studio Code command palette and just have to press Control Shift plus Enter. You will write code space stop and then enter. It will stop. Then comes deleting any code space which you have created. So you can create a code space for any particular task and then safely delete the code space after you have pushed your changes to the main repository. Your editor will notify you that you have changes that have not been pushed to a remote branch if you try to delete any code space without merging it to the main repo. Someone's mic. Okay. So you can also export your code to a new branch without creating a new code space. Yeah. So this is a kind of tutorial that how can you use GitHub Codespace. When you type GitHub Codespaces, then you will get this website. Over here, you have to click on Get Started for free. When you click on this kind of tab will open, and you have to click on New Codespaces, and then you have to select the repository for which you want to make a code space. Then select region Southeast Asia and machine type 2 core, because currently code space is in beta version, so there might be some bugs, so it's better to use 2 core machine. And then you can launch your code space with the VS Code in browser. So it looks like something like this when it opens, and you are good to go, you are good to code and see the changes. When you open any repository, you will see code spaces written where there was only local, but now a code spaces tab is also there where you can use open your repository and commit changes. So yeah, now I'll be playing a video of GitHub University watch party. So stay tuned. Is the screen visible to you? Can anyone respond?
No, not
No,
now.
sir, it's not visible. It's not visible.
Now?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Now it's visible.
Yeah. I hope audio is coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Woo! Good morning. Hello, GitHub universe. It's so great to be here in person. This is amazing. And a big hello to everyone watching remotely. I'm Thomas, and I'm a developer. And there's nothing better, nothing more energizing to me than being in a room full of developers. Like so many of you, through every stage of my life, my greatest passion has always been to build with code. It started in my childhood, writing simple programs in BASIC. And then in university, I was using SUSE Linux and Emacs. In my mid-20s, I was working at an automaker, and it was Windows PC and Visual Studio. And now, today, I think I'm still in my late 20s, it's all on GitHub. It's now a code space, spinning up on my iPad, even when I'm at the airport. So much has changed, and since the rise of the internet, open source has been the engine of it all. Open source powers the world, and even those that didn't like open source to begin with are now on board. Companies, large and small, are using GitHub side by side with the open source community to build their own products and bring their big ideas to the world. And it's all of you together that have fueled this global economy. Now let me share something very special. 10 years ago, for the very first time, we published the Octoverse and reported just 2.8 million developers on GitHub, 2.8 million. A year ago, we were at 73 million, and I'm more than thrilled that as of today, now 94 million developers call us their home. But despite how fast software development has advanced, despite how much we have all grown, how much GitHub has grown, there's even greater change just ahead. I believe we've arrived at the most significant turning point in the history of software development. In the past few years have made it clear we now live in a world fully eaten by software. Every day is punctuated from beginning to end through our interactions with software. From the moment in the morning your alarm goes off, to your commute and your day at work, and maybe you don't even have a commute anymore, to the second you set your alarm again to go to sleep, you cannot escape using software. And building, running, and maintaining all the software for the world has never been more complex. As a developer, you can't just build a great product anymore. You have to do it securely. You have to do it fast. And you have to build 100 times a day. And in all of this, developers are still expected to deliver the best creations of their life every single day. And as a developer myself, having to do all this work and stringing together or self-hosting all my own tools, sure as hell isn't something that I want. It's not solving my problems. It's not putting the developer first. We are at a breaking point, and it's time for a change. It's time to iterate and build a new developer experience. And it's no longer about how we can equip developers with the tools to do more for the sake of doing more. Now we must equip developers for everything they need to be at their best and to be happier. Right? That's what we want, be happy. Because developers do their best work where they can actually enjoy the work they want to do. When they have innovations that take the weight off, not add more, and when they have one integrated platform to do it all, one place that enables the flow state where the magic happens. And as the home of all developers, we have made it our mission to build this one integrated platform where developers can do it all. And it all starts with code.
Welcome to GitHub Universe 2022.
All right. Ever since we launched Copilot, it's helped redefine productivity for millions of developers by introducing them to the magic of AI assistance. For example, instead of us searching the web for a complicated regular expression, we can simply type a comment that describes what you need and let Copilot do the rest. Or if we wanted to send a text message with Twilio, Copilot can help us generate the entire function that calls it, even if you've never used this API before. But the thing that amazes me the most is just how good Copilot is at understanding context, sometimes when you least expect it. Check this out. Here, we have a P5.js canvas, and as we press tab, Copilot helps us to draw a green house with a red door and a blue roof with 2 windows. But like, where did these specific colors even come from? If we scroll to the top of the file, we'll see that we wrote a comment describing the colors of each of these objects. Nothing gets past Copilot. This sort of behavior is why we refer to Copilot as an AI peer programmer, because its understanding of natural language and code gives you way more than just a productivity boost. It helps you to focus on the business logic over boilerplate and discover ideas you might not have otherwise considered, all from the comfort of your editor. Copilot is available now, and it's being used by hundreds of thousands of developers every day. And if you're a verified teacher, student, or maintainer of a popular open source project, it's completely free. In fact, roughly half of Copilot users receive Copilot for free as a result of this program. And as more developers have adopted Copilot, we've been happy to see how impactful it is in practice. For example, among developers who are using it with Python, aka my Pythonistas, 40% of the 40% of the code they write was actually synthesized by Copilot. We also ran a study with 95 developers, and we split them into 2 groups, and we asked everyone to write an HTTP server. And to our surprise, the group that used Copilot was able to complete the task 55% faster than the group that didn't. But beyond the developer excitement, we've also heard loud and clear that companies want an easy way to purchase Copilot for their entire team. So we're excited to bring the benefits of Copilot to every organization with the release of Copilot for Companies coming this December. This will enable you to manage licenses and policy from a central location using your existing GitHub organization. So whether you prefer Visual Studio Code, IntelliJ, or Vim, developers and students alike are experiencing the amazing benefits that Copilot and AI assistance can provide. And we can't wait for you to try it out as well. GitHub is committed to ensuring that Copilot is truly available for everyone. So I want to give you a sneak peek of something we've been working on that takes the next step towards this goal. Watch this. Hey, GitHub, let's write some code. Import a graph plotting library. A function to analyze the sentiment of text with a free web service. Change it to return a Boolean. A function to plot an array of Booleans as a pie chart. An array of example text. A function to put it all together. Call main. It's behind, sorry. Call main. Hey, GitHub, run program. And that was Hey, GitHub.
How many of you are familiar with this page?
Benefits Copilot to even more developers. GitHub is renewing its vision to be the home for all developers. And this is just one of the many steps we'll be taking to make that a reality. Hey, GitHub is an experiment, and we'd love to get your feedback. So sign up now to get access. Hey, GitHub, drop the beat.
With the new GitHub issues, planning and tracking is at the core of how high-performing development teams operate. And at GitHub, we believe developers deserve a planning tool that's centered around them, one that seamlessly integrates with their existing workflows, and more importantly, something they actually enjoy using. That's why we've enhanced projects in GitHub issues to be developer first. Here's a product backlog where several teams across the product are working together to ship multiple features. Each view in this board shows a different perspective and is adaptable to the needs of whoever is using it. Our sprint planning lives as a board view, so we can visualize how work flows from one week to the next, while scope gives us a table view to quickly see items in every release stage. But what if we want to see how items track across dates? Previously, you'd have to leave projects and copy start and end dates for work into a spreadsheet or other tool. But today, we're introducing the private beta for Roadmap View, a native way to keep your stakeholders up to speed on what's being worked on, what's next, and how those items span across time. And you can even update your view from month to quarter to year. So as we dive into one of these features, you can see it's broken down into scopes using tasks. For this feature, we have 3 task lists: scoring, design, and boss updates. I think they forgot a design task here, though, for when the user fails the level, so let's add a draft task to remind them. Now, many tools hard code sub-issues or children to only support one level. But remember adaptability? With GitHub projects, we can have multiple levels. If I click into save score, we can see that it has its own task list. And that first task has its own set of tasks. I can traverse across this hierarchy from feature to scope to task to subtasks with ease. And the breadcrumb navigation lets me quickly go back to any level. So let's switch to our feature delivery project, which tracks the status of items about to be released. You can tell this is a different project because it has custom fields and unique views. For example, there's
So the video is lagging.
at risk of slipping. And even from this high-level view, we
So the video is lagging.
Is it lagging for everyone?
Yes, sir, a bit
Yes.
lagging, but
Yes, it's
it's like
lagging a lot and cracking, and the voice is cracking also.
Okay, let me just reshare it.
get insight into issue relationships with the track,
Is it lagging?
allowing us to scan
Not that much, but still, it's okay.
Okay. I will share link after the meeting. And yeah, one more thing. After this watch party completes, I will be explaining you how to claim goodies and certificates. So stay tuned.
for subtask progress. And if we move into our releases view, which is grouped by tracked by, we can see all the issues that roll up to a particular release. I'm so pleased to say you can join the waitlist to try this out today. And if I need to update my team's plans on the go, the GitHub mobile app now supports projects in iOS and Android, allowing me to assign items or update fields right from my phone. GitHub Issues not only adapts to your current planning processes, it encourages you and it enables you to evolve and iterate as you go. With over 100 new features and along with our new betas, now is the time to give GitHub Issues a try.
Sometimes I just want to dig right into the code to get my bearings without muddying up my local machine and cloning a bunch of random repositories. So let me show you a new code navigation experience we have in private beta to help with that. I've heard about this new fast-loading web framework, Fresh, based on Dino, but I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. Across all of GitHub, I can search by language and by keyword Dino. This chat app looks interesting, and it's based on the Fresh framework. Now, let's see if we can find this button, New Room, in the code. I type it into our repository search, super fast, and look at that, there it was, so fast. Filters make it easy to find exactly what you need based on common criteria like language, path, or symbol. And we can also drill into a specific file, view symbols, and navigate to definitions and references. So now you can discover the context around the code and see answers to questions you didn't even know you had. But let's look at another tool that helps me roll up my sleeves and dig into the code, Codespaces. Codespaces are powerful developer environments in the cloud, spun up in seconds and completely configured for your project. The Codespaces dashboard has a curated list of templates to get you started quickly. Now, I've been wanting to play with Preact, but I don't want to risk breaking my local laptop installing a bunch of dependencies. Luckily, Codespaces has already done all of the configuration for me, so I can focus on learning and building, not setup. From the Preact template, in a single click, you can spin up a pre-configured cloud-based developer environment personalized with your themes and dot files. Index.js is already open, so I can simply make a change and get tinkering quickly. And there it is. Now, it might seem like magic, but the secret is config as code. The dev container JSON file defines how your project will build, display, and run. So every developer of this repository, every user has the same delightful experience every time. Now remember, I didn't fork React. Templates let me get started quickly on my next project without needing to create a fork or repository first. Speaking of my next project, I've been wanting to explore Stable Diffusion, an AI model that allows you to generate images based on a prompt, but it doesn't run on my laptop yet. Luckily, GPUs for Codespaces are now in private preview. And not only that, I can choose which editor I use. I can now use Codespaces in VS Code or IntelliJ on my local desktop, or I can even open in Jupyter Lab. Now, this astronaut riding on a horse was cool, but what about that rainbow corgi in space? And in just a few seconds, I'm ready to make some AI. I know, it's so cute. I am ready to make some AI-generated art powered by my personal GPU in the cloud. Okay, that's a cute corgi, right? And just the image I need. Since becoming available last year, we've heard success stories from thousands of developers using Codespaces within teams and enterprise. But this is GitHub. We want to make the possibilities offered by Codespaces available to every developer. So today, I am thrilled to announce that Codespaces will be available for all GitHub users with up to 60 hours of free usage every month. So excited. The worst feeling as a developer is getting stuck before you can even get started. So use Codespaces to get in the flow and stay there.
Now I want to talk about the heart of GitHub, the open source community that powers our modern world. Open source developers build tools for the rest of us. So our job is to build the tools they need to succeed too. Over the last year, we've been hard at work to make a developer's daily community experience truly excellent. GitHub Discussions enables thousands of communities of all types to connect and build together. The GitHub profile is now fully customizable and celebrates your achievements, reflecting your unique developer life. And now, with our new privacy settings, you can control what you share online, while still being able to contribute publicly to open source. And 3 years ago, we launched GitHub Sponsors to help fund the global team of volunteers that build open source software, the ones that we all depend on. Since the open source economy on GitHub has flourished, we've doubled the number of regions served by sponsors to 68, and all of you have contributed over $25 million to open source developers and projects. That's the power of community. It's made it possible for thousands of developers to pursue their passions and contribute to open source full-time. But we often hear more developers want to take this leap, quit their jobs, work for the internet. GitHub wants to help. And we know that we need to build an open source economy on developers' terms. So I want to discuss 3 ways we're tackling this. First, projects need durable funding over the long term, a role that companies who depend on open source can and should play. We want to lead by example here, so we're supporting our own stack. This past summer, we contributed $500,000 to the dependencies that GitHub needs to run its own software. We funded 900 people across the world and allowed them to spend more time on their projects, fixing lingering bugs, patching that security flaw, or sketching out their next release. Let's hear from some of the developers.
I received the grant from GitHub around July this year, and it really motivated me to continue doing open source. It was my first sponsorship, so it really made me feel like you can do this maybe for a living in the long run, right?
GitHub opening up the sponsorships is what allowed me to get noticed.
P5.js is an open source JavaScript library that has more than 1.5 active million users. This is a job like 24/7. So being supported by different organizations, I think, provide us the space to sometimes to take a break.
corporate sponsorships are really important. Getting that recognition as far as like my career goes, it's one of the best things on my resume, no matter what I've launched or what I've done.
Nick, Chan, and Bran said it just right. Companies sponsoring open source means that many more developers can take a much needed break, branch out into a new project, or just start a career. This is exactly what we want to support. And we want to give developers more options on how they fund their work. With companies like these participating in sponsors, you know we can. Which brings me to our second step. Building a career in open source is uncharted territory. Who do you talk to first? What are you asking for your sponsorship? Where should I focus? Unlike most careers, there's no predictable path to follow. Last year, we launched an experiment in India called OS Grants. We gave 15 developers a simple grant that afforded them the time to focus on building their open source projects. And the results, a year later, are fantastic. As just one example, Peter Thomas used his grant to formally work on Karate Labs, which is a venture-backed startup today. We want to expand on this program globally, and that's why I'm proud to announce the GitHub Accelerator. We're going to fund 20 maintainers that want to commit to a full-time career in open source. Starting with the 10-week program, we'll provide a cash grant and mentorship from the GitHub team, open source experts who have pioneered in this space, and enterprise sponsors where they can build a durable set of funding for the long term. Check out the application. Yeah, we want more people in this. We'll be launching our first class early next year, so be sure to apply by December 31st. We're so excited to experiment with this creative community. Our hope is that each class blazes new paths in open source, so that in the future, many others can fork and follow. Finally, open source companies are born on GitHub every day, and they're melding together the meaning of communities and enterprises building product together. We know the power of these products, and we want to invest in this vital ecosystem. So I'm excited to announce a $10 million GitHub fund in partnership with M12. We're going to specifically focus on open source dev tools, because if we want open source to be vibrant tomorrow, we got to invest in the maintainers of today. We've already partnered with a company that showcases just what this could look like, Codespaces, which maps open source and company repos so developers can confidently and automatically make changes to their code. We're excited to partner with them, and we want to see a new generation of developer tools built on GitHub. We want to give developers the choice to work on open source full time, regardless of income, regardless of location. And we hope that today's programs, supporting our stack, the GitHub Accelerator, and the GitHub Fund, will jumpstart a thriving open source economy for projects that can be a developer's passion and their livelihood.
Innovation in software happens to a large degree in the open source domain these days. You want to be part of that, you should be part of open source.
If you look at a Mercedes-Benz car, it is packed with open source components, so it's just natural for us to collaborate with others, and open source is the best knowledge.
In enterprise IT, we have decided to go all on GitHub because it helps us to share the code internally and work with the open source world.
Everyone knows GitHub. Yeah. So the biggest platform out there, and that is for us a huge advantage because we do not have to explain GitHub itself. We can concentrate on the stuff that we do with that.
GitHub is for us a platform which integrates every need we have around code, around configuration, about doing our job, building the systems. So we have one platform that integrates easily and that reduces time and gives us the transparency we need. What we automated with GitHub Action is how we build the code. We do the software engineering, we test it, we simulate it, and GitHub is our core tool to make that work.
Organizations and the open source community are turning to GitHub Actions to power their continuous integration and deployment workflows. In fact, over 10 million builds a day are happening with GitHub Actions across Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. So GitHub Actions is the #1 CI/CD platform, and it's more powerful and flexible than ever. So whether you're building a small personal website or a cloud-native mission-critical enterprise application, GitHub Actions can meet your needs. And best of all, it's closely integrated with all the other GitHub features you know and love. So if you haven't used GitHub Actions yet, it may feel a bit daunting at first. So we've invested in the getting started experience with simple but powerful starter templates. But notice these templates don't simply build and test my code. They can also automate security analysis or deploy my app to more than a dozen different cloud services like AWS, GCP, Azure, and more. Now, templates are great for getting started, but let's be honest, how often are you starting from scratch? It's much more likely that you've already got some other CI/CD system in place, maybe under somebody's desk or somewhere else. Now, understandably, the thought of doing it all over again in a brand new platform is not an attractive prospect. So to help with this, we've been working on a new tool called GitHub Actions Importer. With GitHub Actions Importer, we can help you not only migrate your company's automation to GitHub Actions extremely quickly, but more importantly, plan and scope the effort required to do so, and even help estimate your usage based on analyzing your existing platform use. We've already been using it with large enterprise customers that have particularly complex migration requirements, and so far we've had some great success. So far, we've seen that about 90% or more of workloads have been migrated automatically with GitHub Actions Importer. So we're really excited to start rolling that out more broadly in the coming months. So as you build up your DevOps capabilities with GitHub Actions, you'll find that your workflows will grow and become more complex. And in an organization, you want to have a common, repeatable way that applications are built, tested, and deployed. Reusable workflows mean you don't need to repeat yourself, and you can easily maintain consistency. For example, let's say I want to add a new staging environment between testing and production, but make sure that I'm deploying in exactly the same way as I will when we go to production. To do that, I can add a job to deploy the staging and simply point to the reusable workflow I already use to deploy to my production environment. This means I can guarantee the exact same behavior when deploying to both staging and production, and ensure there's no room for configuration drift or all of that copy-pasta logic. I can also call this reusable workflow from other repositories in my organization or even other organizations. And all this means that I can trust that each deployment is doing the right thing every time. Now, another way that teams can control quality is with pull requests. You can now use GitHub Actions to deploy each pull request to its own temporary review environment. And this enables the team to easily see and interact with the changes before approving, of course, and kicking off your production CI/CD process. Now, of course, before that deployment actually gets in front of customers, you want to make sure that everything looks right. So here, we're using environment protection rules to gate a deployment to production until an appropriate person approves it. This gives us a chance to do a final check or just get sign off before going live. Now, you can also set environment protection rules to restrict which branches can go to each environment. So you know that only your release or main branch can ever get to prod. Or you could just delay the deployment for a period of time. And it looks like this one's been approved by Thomas. Cool. Thanks, boss. In the past, you could only choose the operating system for your hosted build machines. But sometimes you want a little bit or a lot of extra power. So now you can take advantage of larger hosted runners in GitHub Actions. These runners let you build in Linux and Windows and provide compute with up to 64 cores and 256 gigabytes of RAM. One customer, Dagger.io, managed to reduce their build times dramatically just by moving to more powerful hosted runners, more than paying for itself. We have also partnered with ARM to make IoT development even easier. I'm pleased to announce that the ARM development tools, including the cross-compiler and ARM virtual hardware, are now available natively inside GitHub Actions hosted runners. So you really can build and deploy in any environment, from IoT to quantum computers to the largest cloud environments in the world. GitHub Actions can help you build, test, and deploy reliably and securely. So GitHub Actions is more powerful than ever, which is why organizations like Mercedes, KPMG, Dell, Shopify, and many more are using Actions to power their builds and deployments. And last year, we donated over 7 billion minutes of GitHub Actions to open source. So whether you're deploying a blog to GitHub Pages, or you're an open source maintainer who needs automated testing, or maybe you're the CTO of a Fortune 500 company who wants a reliable CI/CD solution, GitHub Actions is the answer.
GitHub Enterprise brings all of these features, like Actions, Codespaces, advanced security, and issues, into that complete developer platform, backed by the security, auditability, and compliance features that companies need, with that developer experience that you already know and love. You can self-host it with GitHub Enterprise Server, or increasingly have us take care of that for you with GitHub Enterprise Cloud. Now, I recognize quite a few faces in the room from the startups and enterprises I talk to every day. And you consistently tell me that you're trying to innovate quickly and safely. You're trying to onboard developers and integrate new teams through acquisitions and partnerships fast. You want to give those teams freedom to work the way they want, but also have confidence that your company's billing and security policies are applied consistently everywhere. The GitHub Enterprise account is designed to help you strike that right balance. Developers can work their way, while you, administrators, have full control over policies, like requiring that everyone has 2FA enabled across your organizations. In the last year, we've also made it easier to move independent GitHub organizations into a single enterprise cloud account. So even as your company is growing through things like acquisitions, you don't need to try to spin 9 plates at work every day. You can just spin one with one enterprise account. One plate you might not want to spin at work every day is also worrying about how you give access to the right people, to the right projects from the right places. And that gets all of the more important, and let's face it, harder, as companies are moving to the cloud with teams working from anywhere. To help you manage that, GitHub Enterprise integrates directly with the identity providers you already use, such as Okta and Azure Active Directory. Now, you can use them to provide developers with a dedicated GitHub account just for work. That doesn't affect their personal account at all, with enterprise managed users. In just a year since launch, almost 1,000 companies have adopted enterprise managed users. And we've recently added the ability for you to apply IP address access rules directly from your identity provider over those accounts. So your GitHub Enterprise access policies are always going to be up to date with your company. But, you know, as Thomas said, to build faster, you do need the tools now that empower your teams whilst also securing your most valuable assets. With GitHub Enterprise Cloud, you get access to our newest features as soon as they're released. Features like the new fine-grained personal access tokens that massively reduce the surface area of credential leaks by empowering developers with individual repository targeting and over 50 fine-grained permissions, and organization administrators with full control over what access is approved. Or the ability now to track all of those tokens in your enterprise audit log. So if one is leaked, you can see exactly what it's being used for. So that is GitHub Enterprise Cloud. But if you're using Enterprise Server, we've also been shipping hundreds of these features every year to our self-hosted instances, and we're adding even more. Today, I'm pleased to announce the release of GitHub Enterprise Server 3.7. This release includes over 70 new features, like enhancements to reusable workflows with Actions, so it's easier to deploy Actions at scale with standardized workflows. New enterprise inner source policies that make it easier to collaborate across teams no matter what your compliance needs are. And feature 3 of 70, I promise I'm not actually going to list all 70, the launch of the security overview dashboard for all enterprise customers. So every company and security team can get a single view of risk across your enterprise. So whether you choose to self-host or join us in the cloud, GitHub Enterprise is the best tool to innovate and operate however your business demands. The
Security can be complex, but as a GitHub Enterprise user, it doesn't have to be. You can embed the best security tooling directly into your development processes. GitHub Advanced Security empowers developers and security teams like you at over 1,400 companies to build securely by default, right where you're already planning, collaborating, and shipping code all in GitHub. One of the hardest things about keeping your code secure is the constantly changing attack surface. The software supply chain is the largest attack vector today. Without insights into your code, you may never know that you have vulnerabilities in your dependencies. Dependabot makes this easy. It automatically notifies you of security issues in your code so you can quickly merge to the latest safe version. In 2022, developers updated 50% more vulnerable packages than in 2021, helping to secure 18 million projects in GitHub without the hassle of manual steps. But what about your credentials? Credential breaches are emerging as the most costly attack vector we're facing. That's why we built secret scanning. When we identify a secret, we walk you through how to take an action, like how to remediate or flag a false positive, and you have complete visibility into each secret found. You can even create your own custom patterns to detect secret patterns unique to your organization. But if you're a little lazy like me and also risk adverse, and you want to stop secrets from ever entering your code, you now can, thanks to push protection. No matter where you're working, potential secrets can be blocked before they make it into your code. And if you accidentally push a secret into GitHub, we give you the option to remove it or let your security team know why it should be there. Last month alone, push protection stopped over 1,000 secret leaks, saving teams like you thousands of headaches and thousands of hours on triaging, rotating, and remediating secrets. But what about those unknown vulnerabilities in your code base? With CodeQL, you have a widely adopted solution with a large open source libraries of queries to detect security issues in your own code. Companies like Bloomberg, Uber, Microsoft use CodeQL within their own code, and they share their queries back with the GitHub community. CodeQL already supports some of your favorite languages like Java, C++, Go, and JavaScript. Today, we're making support for Ruby generally available. And at GitHub, we don't just build our security tools, we use them too. Powering the GitHub website is mostly written in Ruby. So we use CodeQL on our own code base. With CodeQL, we've been able to remediate dozens of potential vulnerabilities in just a few weeks and kept far more from entering our code. For developers or security teams whose responsibility spans across hundreds or thousands of repositories, we're here for you too. We're committed to continuing to support you in improving your security posture across all detection types. Security Overview provides you with actionable feedback and insight across every repository you have. I'm excited to announce we're deepening the Security Overview experience with new dashboards on risk and adoption, giving you more insights into your risk posture and highlighting areas that you might be vulnerable because you don't have security features turned on. With this information, you can take action on what matters most to your organization. But it's no longer our own software we have to care about. The world has never been more interconnected. The security of our business's software and the security of open source software has never been more deeply intertwined. That makes every piece of software important. And that means we all have a role to play in keeping open source software secure. That's why in public repositories, we scan for leaked secrets and help to revoke them. Why we provide code scanning via CodeQL for free. Why Dependabot will always be forever free for all repositories and all users. That's why Security Lab researchers will continue to publicly share all discovered vulnerabilities within our open source advisory database. But we still need to do more for open source maintainers and security researchers. Today, I'm pleased to announce private vulnerability reporting. It's a game changer. Maintainers and security researchers together play a critical role in keeping open source secure. It can be really difficult to responsibly share vulnerabilities found in a public project, and we want to make that easier. With private vulnerability, people can now privately disclose vulnerabilities to just the maintainers of the open source project. Together, you can now find a fix, remediate, then publish your CVE, all within GitHub. This dramatically reduces the burden on open source maintainers who are volunteering their time and skill to run our open source projects. Developer and security teams no longer should compromise on agility or need to use out-of-sync tooling to secure their code. With GitHub Advanced Security, security can be something that enables you to ship quickly and with confidence.
This was amazing, right? Woo! 15 years ago, the first line of code was committed to build GitHub, the initial commit. And since then, we've always had one purpose: to put the developer first. Over the years, through every iteration, from the pull request to Copilot, this has remained our mission. Because putting the developer first also puts everybody first who depends on a developer. And 15 years later, we have arrived at the moment where this is more necessary than ever. Today, you have seen our biggest innovations yet across the entire developer lifecycle. From picking up your first task and issues and projects, to booting your dev environment in Codespaces, and then in your code editor, using Copilot to write code more efficiently, to then even using your voice with Hey GitHub. And when you're done with coding, it goes to submitting your pull request, securing your code with advanced security, automating everything, not just CI/CD, everything with actions, to pulling in more than 15,000 integrations from our marketplace. Integrations with the whole developer ecosystem and all of our partners. And through everything, collaborating with the open source community who empower us all. And all these things standing on their own would have seemed like science fiction, like Star Trek, just 15 years ago. But it's what all these innovations are designed to achieve together that is most important to us. Like we've always done, we built this new developer experience, this one integrated platform for one single purpose: to put the developer first. Because ultimately, developers will build their best when they have one single place to do it all. One place with everything developers need to be creative, to be happy, to build a better, more brilliant tomorrow for everyone. And GitHub is this one place, the only place where this is truly possible. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you even more for coming on the journey ahead with us. Have a great universe, and let's build from here.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
I hope you like the watch party.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to summarize if you want to?
They mentioned what are the changes they have made, or they have, what are the things they have developed in GitHub, like advanced features, actions, code spaces, Copilot Enterprise, advanced security, all these features that have been now added to the GitHub so as to ensure a better development environment and experience, or like a good environment to ensure that everyone, everything goes fine. Right?
Yeah, great answer. One more, if anyone wants. seems like no one wants. So let's continue. Is my PPT visible?
Yes.
So now it's time for the swags for all those who are attended the session. So I just want you to scan this QR and rapidly do that question. Okay, let me just share the stats as well. Yeah. So we have received 8 responses and there are 14 peoples. So those who haven't responded, please respond.
Sir, I haven't scanned the code. Can you just show it again, please?
Yeah, sure. I hope it's visible now.
Yes, sir, it's visible now. Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So here are the stats. 90%, matlab 9 people wants hoodie, 1 person wants LinkedIn premium account, and no one wants certificate. So who wants a LinkedIn premium? Who voted for that?
Hello, sir. I voted for LinkedIn Premium.
Yeah. Can you explain the reason as well?
Yeah, because LinkedIn is a tool which we use for our offline interview calls, and LinkedIn is very popular nowadays. So that's the reason I've choose the LinkedIn Premium.
Okay. And all those who have selected GitHub hoodie, can they also explain the reason?
It looks
Sir,
smooth.
because I wanna just promote GitHub a little bit as just like you. So if I wear it, and a lot of friend of mine will see and watch, he's wearing GitHub, and we can also go there. We can just scroll there and do our coding and other stuff. And it's also famous among our friends about the GitHub also. So I will just a little bit we can show that I'm also doing it. So they will just come and again they will join with me also.
Okay, nice. And any other person?
Mostly it
I
looks
want to
cool, no?
Yeah, Mohit, go ahead.
Uh, I mean, there's not as such specific reason. It looks more cool when you had a specific hoodie pointing to some specific thing. It looks cool. And another thing is like it shows an image that what you are doing currently, what you are interested in. So people with similar interests can come and learn together.
Okay. We'll take one more response if anyone wants. Let me just go to the PPT again. I guess you'll be able to see a 10-minute quiz. Can anyone respond?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this quiz is for the LinkedIn Premium account. So you have to do this quiz right now. The quiz
Okay,
will
sir.
be open. Yeah. We have received one response. Other do it fast.
Sir, will the quiz automatically end in 10 minutes or what?
Yeah, the form will stop accepting responses are after 5:35. So you have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. My quiz is done.
yeah. Just stay back in the meeting. I have some other things also.
Okay.
Yeah. Just one more minute. If anyone has not submitted, please submit. Okay, this was regarding the LinkedIn Premium. Now I want to discuss something about the GitHub Hoodie. So you can just see on the PPT. You have to share your takeaways from this session on LinkedIn and tag me. And the one lucky person will get a GitHub Hoodie. Deadline for posting it on GitHub was 3rd December, 6 p.m. And my GitHub account is given. So you can just scan the QR. Just tell me when you are done with scanning the QR. I'll proceed. I'm writing my LinkedIn account in Q&A part as well. You can check from there also. Okay. The last part regarding the certificates, you have to fill this feedback form, and the people who will fill the feedback form will receive the certificates. And this is the end of this workshop or event. You can just scan the QR and fill the feedback form. And meanwhile, if you want to ask anything, you can ask. Okay, and I hope you have scanned the QR. And if you want to contact me, this is my mail ID. You can mail me if you want to ask anything. And I'm enabling the cameras for the group photo. So please turn on your cameras. Others also, if you want, please turn on the camera. So thank you everyone for attending the session. And regarding the swags, you will receive mail soon. So have a nice day.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, I want to see your email ID once again. I have not noted the email ID. Yours.
Okay, just a minute. Just share it. I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye everyone. Have a nice day.